So welcome to the third workshop on the fast method of relaxation. So this is what I call the third gear of mindfulness. So we've looked at the first and second gears, the mindfulness process using no added activity, and mindfulness process using an activity. And so we're going to go a bit more into the third gear now, stepping up to third gear, where we are adding a bit more of a forceful activity. And so you may be able to engage mindfulness effectively in just by relaxing into your experience and allowing tension or thoughts to just fall away naturally, without using a technique. And that's what I call the second gear, the direct method. Sometimes that works, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes that takes a bit longer. That's not going to work for everyone. If that doesn't work, we can step down a gear and use we can add a gentle activity, such as adding a positive word during the out breath in your mind, or adding a count to the breathing, or using a simple prayer or chant. And that's what I call the first gear of mindfulness. And that makes mindfulness a bit easier. That can make it a bit easier. So that's adding an aid to the mindfulness process. And that's not always actually that may not always be enough for everyone. And then when that's not enough, we can step up to third gear by using adding a bit more of a forceful activity. So we'll try that for a bit longer in this workshop. So it's a bit like, one way we can see it is it's a bit like clearing a blockage in a cave system. So the direct approach is like getting a head torch and going down and clearing out the stones and rocks by hand, one at a time. It's like going into our body, removing the unnecessary mental and physical activity, just directly. And there's another way we can do it, which is flooding the cave system with high pressure water, and that will clear the blockage as well. So that's what the third gear is more like. So don't do it for too long. It's a powerful approach. So use this with care. If you're aware of any mental health issues, then use it with care. Do only what you're happy with and what you're comfortable with. And what we do is we try a bit, and then we stop and use the direct or gentle methods to see what effect it's had. So let's just start with a couple of minutes of the direct approach to get a kind of gauge on what's happening in our mind and body right now. So let's do a couple of minutes of just allowing the eyes to rest naturally wherever they land in front of us. And if we get the urge to move the eyes, then just allowing that to relax away, resting the eyes again. Looking for a sense of just enjoying relaxation naturally. Okay, that's about 2 minutes. So noticing if you did feel any enjoyable sense of relaxation or not during that 2 minutes. You may have done, you may not have done. But there's a few indicators that you could be aware of. Was the breathing very active, or was it very calm? Were you aware of lots of thinking or not? They're the kind of some of the indicators of how you are right now. You may not be aware of. There may be a lot of thinking going on that you're not quite in touch with yet as well. That might come up later. But the main thing we're looking for when we are as an indicator of when we're going a bit deeper with the mindfulness process is that we are starting to, we do feel a small amount of enjoyment in relaxation, even if it's a tiny amount. So it's that that's the feeling. That feeling component is our main guide. We can use that as our main guide in the mindfulness process. How we feel in our body. Do we feel good? Do we not feel good in our body? And that's connected to the mental and physical activity that we're making. So that's an indicator. So if we don't feel good in our body, then that tends to be an indicator that we're doing too much or unnecessary mental or physical activity somewhere, which we may or may not be aware of. So I hope that doesn't sound too technical, but let's just do another couple of minutes with a focus on the thinking, just before we step up a gear, so we can get a sense of what's going on in terms of thinking. So we can kind of treat thoughts like taxis that just come and go. We don't have to get in the taxi and get carried away somewhere. A thought can just go past like taxis. And it's our choice which ones we get into. So we can spend 2 minutes just doing nothing again. So we're not adding any activity. Just allowing the eyes to rest and just waiting really until we notice a thought has popped up or is a thought's popping up in our mind. And then if we notice that, which we may not, often it happens and we realize afterwards, but waiting for thought to pop up and then just allowing it to relax away naturally, rather than clinging on to it or making something out of it or continuing a train of thoughts. So let's spend 2 minutes, see what happens. Okay, that's about 2 minutes. Okay, so for some people that would have been enough to experience such kind of enjoyable relaxation in a meditative way. For many people, that wouldn't be easy. So you may have been aware of thoughts happening all the time, constant thoughts. During that, you may have not been aware of any thinking at all. That's possible. But it's very unlikely that thinking wasn't happening, if that's the case, because the brain just constantly throws out thoughts all the time, unless you're in very deep meditation. So it's more likely if you weren't aware of any thinking, it was unconscious. It wasn't conscious. You weren't actually aware enough to notice it, which often is the case actually. And you may have been aware of thoughts popping up, and then a bit of space where you were relaxed, and you weren't kind of chasing after the thoughts or making anything of them. So that's fairly good if that's what you found. And so you can just go do that for as long as you want to. That the direct method, which I call the second gear of mindfulness. If that's enough for you, you gradually relax deeper and deeper into meditation, and the enjoyment gradually increases, and the awareness in the body gradually increases. But especially if you're studying a lot and there's a lot of thinking going on, it's a bit like just to sort of stop it and relax like that is a bit like trying to stop a train going at high speed. If you take your foot off the accelerator, the train's still going. The train would keep going for quite a long time because of the momentum. So kind of stepping up to third gear is a bit like applying a counter effort of putting your foot on the brakes. So let's try a few minutes of stepping up to third gear. So what we're going to do is add a more forceful activity as a counter activity to the thinking, and this will cut through the thinking that's going on that we don't want, and it will bring our awareness much more directly into our body. So we'll do a few minutes. So I recommend doing this standing, because it's easier to keep the spine nice and upright and extended when you're standing. Don't do this leaning back on a chair, if possible. If it's too difficult to do it standing, then you can do it in a seated position, but keep the spine nice and upright if you can. So fairly straightforward, really. We're just adding a more forceful activity by holding the arms out to the sides, about shoulder height if you can. So it's placing a bit of demand, physical demand on the body. So we'll just do this for a few minutes. And you might like to just add a simple movement of bringing the hands in towards the body very, very slowly from the shoulders. So the shoulders can move in just about an inch, or not too much. Really, really slowly, so that you're not static. And then back out again, really, really slowly. Keeping the spine nice and extended and upright, not leaning backwards. So we're doing the same mindfulness process now. But with the added physical activity. So you might ask, what's our focus, meditation focus or object? And really it's just the enjoyment of relaxation again. So if it's too much, if the muscles become too sore, you can bring the arms in, keep the hands up, just resting the shoulders a bit. And when you feel ready, you can start again. So you might find that fairly quickly the shoulder muscles or the arm muscles might start to ache a little bit, or feel a bit sore, and that's normal. That's what we're actually aiming for. So if that starts to feel too much, just rest the arms again, whenever you need to. So it's that's the feeling component in our experience. Is that probably going to be that feeling of discomfort, sore feeling in the muscles. So that's why I call this high strength mindfulness. It's a bit of a stronger version of mindfulness. And you can gradually move the hands in towards the body, keeping them at shoulder height if you can. Very slow movement. So the mindfulness process here we're engaged with is we're feeling the uncomfortable feeling of soreness in the muscles. And that's bringing our awareness right into the body in that place. So it's taking our awareness straight out of our head or thinking and straight into the body. That's why this is very effective. And if we keep going a bit longer, forces the mind and body to become a bit more efficient. So we can relax, keep relaxing any unnecessary effort in the muscles in the place where we feel the discomfort. Resting the arms when you need to. So when we rest the arms like this, hopefully you'll feel an enjoyable sense of relief, of relaxation afterwards. Again, that's what we're looking for with mindfulness. So now let's stop and do a couple of minutes of the direct method, and you can sit down again if you want to. Feeling that enjoyable feeling of relaxation in the shoulders or arms. Let's do another couple of minutes. Just resting the eyes. Notice if it feels the same or different this time. Okay, that's a couple of minutes now. So let's do another 2 minutes with a focus on thinking, allowing the thoughts to pop up and then relax away again naturally. Just like taxis that drive past, we don't have to get in. You don't have to get in the taxi. So just waiting for when we notice a thought's popped up and then letting it relax away again. And we can remember, we can ask the question, is it more satisfying to do lots of thinking, or is it more satisfying to relax the thinking? Okay then. So we did a few minutes of third gear of mindfulness, the fast method of relaxation. That may or may not have been enough. You may have noticed a difference the second time we did the just resting the eyes. You may need to do a bit more. So that's up to you. I find if I do 20 minutes of that, it can be good if I've got a headache to just blast the headache away. The more you do, as long as you're happy, you're not pushing yourself too much. It can be, it's just kind of the more you do, the more it will have an effect. And then you can come back and do the direct approach. Try and do a minute, at least a minute of a 1 minute mindfulness every day if you can, in between the sessions, and give the 3 gears a go if you feel like it. Do it carefully. So I think that's about half an hour now. Do type questions for me if you want to. Thank you.